Welcoming you for the second Murari Chaturvedi Memorial Lecture. 19th December, today is his 84th birth anniversary, and we are so fortunate that Murari Chaturvedi, a crusader, a pathfinder, a struggler, a journalist, a writer, and a thinker, a researcher, who has actually started his journey as journalist and started struggling in 1971 when nobody has actually thought of a real estate. During emergency time, the accommodation time was closed down, and then again he started in 1996. I've been assisted in so many years, almost 35 years. But I'll tell you some very few instances. Before we started in 1986, the accommodation times, we started the paper. In 1984, I was in my 10th, 11th, in fact, and joined him as a printing canvasser. Used to publish souvenirs for associations or publishing little writing pads and stationaries, and we used to converse, me and my father. In 84, he told me one day, let's see that anyhow I'm going to start this newspaper. In 86, we started the newspaper. It was a weekly newspaper, and father, me, was to sell the papers, putting every station from Churchgate to Borivali and from VT to Thane. We used to put the newspaper on every stand, and then that was the struggle period. It was one of the beginning period for any publication. But then father told me it is not business; it is the institutions which I am starting. And believe you in me, in 86, 87, 88, and 89, 3 years, it was a so hard period for the publication and for the family that we lost everything. My mother used to, make some ateka lei. We used to make some paper and give it to the kirana, and then kirana person used to give us the ration. So those are the struggle period in his life in 1986, 87, 88. He didn't give up. The basic instinct was that I should fight for the homeless people in this country. Many first, which he has done, many first, and his compilation of editorial we have published, and I'm sure is there when you find it on the bookstores. But those editorials became the government policies. He emphasized on rental housing. He emphasized that there has to be a fund. He emphasized that there has to be some controlling authorities for the housing finance people. He emphasized a lot of other things. Besides, in 2001, we started a property show on Doordarshan. It was almost 22 or 23 episodes which we have aired. And during that one shoot he wanted to do for, just capture the nature and the humanity. And that is where he was having some thought process. And then he told me, let's shoot architect Premnath. I said, what is, sir is also, of course, is a very wizard person. And then the entire episode, the Doordarshan may not accept it. He said, if they were going to accept it, I'm going to shoot him at his farmhouse. And he did it. And architect Premnath is, of course, today the keynote speaker today, his friend, and we are so delighted. I'm going to introduce him in a few moments. But that episode became the highest TRP in those days in the Doordarshan, and the director of the Doordarshan has called us, saying that such type of episode we require, where you actually make urban agglomerations see that what the nature can offer. An environmentalist, a person who was thinking ahead of his time, a sustainable development, the definition which he has actually was researching on, he said, you know what, the UN Habitat Council has come up with a concept called sustainable development. That means you have a development and what you need to give it to the generation next. Now, this is what the thought process ahead of time. First lecture, memorial lecture, was delivered by none other than Dr. Niranjan Hirandani and very, very renowned advocate Anil Arish. First lecture, and their good friend. The lectures which we keep is to remember his good work, his work which he has actually devoted his life to the industry for last 35 years. The person was having such a engrossed in his profession that, and we know that every organization has some commercial minded people, and we do have some commercial minded people. He believed not in the yellow journalism. He called me. He said, I must not have any yellow journalism in my audience. I said, what we should do? You tell us. I said, see, I have written a credo. A credo which was pasted on the office wall. We were having two offices, and both the offices, every person who enters or every employee who was actually working for accommodation times, he wanted that credo to be read every day. And the credo is a big credo. He said the last two lines of the credo, which I could remember because the big paragraph, he said, I have never sold my pen to a liar or voted for my personal advantage. Now, this is where the principle of the organization, where he has actually had a foundation, and for return, never asked anybody. Having very high regards to people, those who are actually giving some good thought and good research to the industry. And people like Parasbhai Gundecha, people like Mafatlarji Munot, Shri Rajnibai Ajma, and these people actually are on a phone call when he was wanting some story to be written or some article to be researched for or something. These were the friends in the industry who has helped him invariably, and there was a certain thought process where he used to discuss in length. And I used to tell him, because I was staying with him, I said, Pa, it is 11 o'clock in the night. You want to disturb somebody at this hour? He said, they are my friends. And when my thoughts comes in, I don't care at what time I should disturb them. And he used to call him them. And this is where Murari Chaturvedi was a profile writer, a prolific writer who has authored some of the good books. I'm sure you must have read it. And the article he was to write to the Gulf Times or to Economics Times or to the Times of India. I remember in 92, Times of India came up with a tabloid to counter accommodation times, or maybe I don't know, with their own supplements. Time Estate. Time Estate was in 92 they started, and they approached Murari Chaturvedi saying that please edit. He said, see, I am already editing a newspaper called Accommodation, but I will write for you. And he invariably he has written. He didn't thought that there is a competition. He didn't thought that there is any thing which can actually confine his talents and his research. And he was beyond the business acumen. He was beyond that where he said that accommodation times is not my business. It is an institution. It is the research which I am actually giving to the industry. And that is where for 35 years, tirelessly, he was writing till last of his breath. He was absolutely, when he was bad, he was on bedridden. He should discuss editorial ideas with me and saying that, see, this is what actually happening and this is what you should write. And then where Murari Chaturvedi dedicated his entire life to the industry. And we are here to just remember him. Today I am introducing an architect, a person who has actually seen the transformation of the entire real estate industry from 1986 or maybe I think from 1970s to till today, and he's on his leg, always on the drawing board, having some creating ideas, some magnificent advice he has actually developed and conceptualized. International renowned architect, having recipient of various awards and prolific writers. And ladies and gentlemen, what a fortunate that, of course, Murari ji was a good friend of his, and he was always to admire and having a very high regard for people like architect Premnath. May I introduce to you on the second Murari Chaturvedi Memorial Lecture, our keynote speaker, architect Premnath. Sir, please grace the. Please. Can I have slide? Welcome.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, friends. Thank you very much again for giving. I'm honored to be here to urge you to for a right. I'm very fortunate that I had known since 1990. Made him kind of it was we were very simple man, very kind of intelligent person, ahead of time, having ideas about accommodation industry, writing about real estate. People are not known what real estate is. Real estate was not had taken up way that today we see. But you could see, you could foresee what real estate had. And there was something basically he always thought what people do the very public. Well, people's mind. You could think about the housing all at that time. Because all talk about the affordable housing, they call it public housing, or people. The accommodation which is affordable. It is like another low budget house. We call budget house. So his subject of budget is budget, and it gives slogan on that. And they were an amazing person. You could meet these builders, developers, list people, professional engineers, architects, technocrats, bureaucrats, officers, visual people, common people, also, and even a shy person. And he will research it, speak over there. He spend hours with me talking about kind of thoughts he has to what are the future development, new things. And you are quite wonderful explaining about each. You're learning from customers, studying me, and amazingly that he had developed very good network, very good publication, very small publication to make it more nicer, glamorous, more larger and larger, more separation, increase a lot there. The reach became much more people there. The time that we had preferred accommodation time for their own kind of because pricing part is concerned with benchmark. I don't know how could it possibly, I think I was working almost 24 hours to find out the information. Not very homage, daily, all over India, which is so that people in industry, I think India can go very far. Your leader ahead of time and the God bless him that he had some person who brought quickly the real estate. So we will remember very importantly of that. And he will also go to the extent of fighting, arguing with people, what also about the problem in industry, what if there, what thing to do, what should do, what we benefit we given to the industry, what benefit, how do what is the public over there. All the public issues is to bring them, talk to them personally, and get some of their money. Even instrumental, very silent instrument involving many regulations. It becomes kind of in the middle and industry is quite useful, particularly. Very surprisingly, that he was also those days thinking of the invitation effect. And that's how we had a debate. We happened for farm over there in the place. Then we decided for nature, living the nature, making home and environment, making home place, and he fell in love with that. And he wanted to let people know, people should know what is being here, what is healthy living. So that kind of thought process, and he took opportunity to shoot at our place. I remember that people should know how the episode is like popular with discussion. Very wonderful. They happened over there. It's such a good and he very differently whole family, children, grandchildren, everybody participate in events and they could get all the happiness success carried over with right. Now, Murari बोलते हैं he was blessed. He was हम क्या भगवान हम आगे खाली हम भी याद करते हैं तो भाग्यवान थे he was blessed. He was God soon. He could bless people over there. You know, that such a kind of simple person, possibly like worldly person over there. What does it really? He was he survived and they left good legacy. Talking about that environment, brings me that I should say that yes. Today we are talking about. He started talking about it a long time back. Today environment has become a important special subject for the world. I would like to say a few words and sustainable development. Um, we are all aware that getting global population and India is now getting India is becoming aware of that. India is yet to develop the problem. They're yet to make it. So we're doing maximum construction. Very important that Indians now pay attention to the climate. In the recent global kind of event, and already coming the 20 years back, vision will be of that. It is the architects, the builders, and developers, their responsibility to take sustainable. But when we building that surrounding conservation of power, water, doing pollution free air. Today, for example, we heard open pollution level of 50 here. It's bad. Now, this is a concern how to do that, how to improve that. What is happening? Pollution because of energy consumption, power, electricity. fuel, or we use the petrol, diesel. Now all this has to change. We have to conserve the use of copper. Reverse conservation, use of fuel over fuel, bring more efficient use alternates like electric vehicles coming up, which save a lot of energy. And the solar energy use clean power and cut down the pollution. So we have minimum use of energy and maximum use of natural energy. More so, architects can they play a very important role to build the buildings which are what take advantage of nature. Like old times, we make houses, homes, yards. We have homes which have a lot of other which have cross ventilation, the natural sunlight in the home. All those things, unfortunately, had disappeared during last 2 decades and started building more buildings with growth last decade, last decade, which are basically but after this trend, COVID, people are why the health has become bad. People who are healthy only those who will survive to work to this to the business. And for that we need healthy workplaces, we need healthy homes. Healthy homes of course we land of home, a lot of sunlight, coming in, but also offices. Offices nowadays are being closed. We are trying to make new offices with a use of courtyard, bringing kind of a natural text over there, break area, where people can start talking about, maybe 2 hours, breathe fresh air, take some sunlight, and we can fresh of that rather than finding and following good environment. With these things happening, the youth really time. So the responsibility lies in people. Besides what architects do, the building, the lot of things actually there garbage segregation, minimum use of garbage, minimum use of water make make force we need to be conserved. Sort of pollution on that is important. So, and try to bring more greenery into your home. Even balcony, you try to put more green plants, make much more healthy environment. It is fresh air, there's oxygen for that. In your room becomes your home becomes your. So it is very important that children, family members, all people that are self-responsible, how to cut down pollution, how to carry the garbage, how to learn around those small things can bring a lot more help in improving life. We are fortunate that we are able to do coming years, able to do all the building privately. The mandate given by the government that all buildings will have an environment that will have an environment building. So minimum rating will be silver, gold, and we are also trying to have gold rating in architecture. Other we have still to be municipalities are now giving incentive at what people of society have been conserve an energy. They give them extra, they have water harvesting, they do the water. They give the concession, extension, give the extra SI also for participants. Within it seems possible to encourage people to make another environment subject is now being introduced in the next level, the school, the children. Children will be able to have more subjects like we have science, we have biology, have environment science, we have important subject, which will become part of it. We shall make definitely a lot of improvement for great opportunity today speaking to all of you. The opportunity to speak to all of you. Something about my apartment, also very close to him and close to me. Very fortunate that I have been able to achieve what I may almost started about 3 years back. I achieved the first India's first local township in the theaters. And thereafter, when I was award for good work being on the first one to similarly now smart building and smart environment. We continue to our mission, maybe one building things, and look forward that all of you may be kind of participate in the way of life here as sustainable architectures. We wish all of you best, all great success. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Architect Premnath ji. We know that you were so close to Father Shri Murari Chaturvedi ji, and we keep the lamp which he has enlightened, and may not be a commercial proposition, but the thought, जो विचार, एक एक चेतना जो उन्होंने जगाई है और जो छोड़ गए हैं, एक पाथ फाइंडर जो एक पाथ छोड़ गया है रियल एस्टेट के लिए, और इस इंडस्ट्री में जितने भी लोग हैं, या तो बायर हैं या सेलर हैं या कुछ प्रोफेशनल्स हैं, कुछ लोग हैं, मेरे ख्याल से जब कोई एक थॉट प्रोसेस और कोई एक चेतना लगाई जाती है, तो मेरे ख्याल से एक पाथ फाइंडिंग जो मुरारी चतुर्वेदी जी ने दिया है, उसी को हम जीवित रखते हुए इस लेक्चर्स में आप सभी का मैं स्वागत करते हुए, और आगे वाले क्षणों में, आगे वाले पलों में, the time which we are going to have ahead, because now the real estate proficiency is going to be having their own heights, their own arenas, their own expansions. With this, I believe that we must all remember people, those who have worked effortlessly without any expectation and work for the industry, and we recognize such people in the industry. Thank you very much for being with us, and I thank wholeheartedly Architect Premnath to grace this occasion and mark this second Murari Chaturvedi Memorial Lecture a grand success. Thank you very much.